Mark Szymanski, welcome to PressConf.
Thank you.
Thoughts so far?
It's been really great, honestly. The talks on day one were really good. I think that there's a good balance between individual talks and also panels. And I think from my, idea of speaking, I think the panels are really dynamic. Maybe there's some questions, but you never know where it's going to go. So it's really like a full conversation. That's probably more what I'm accustomed to kind of seeing. And then the individual talks, though, have been great as well. We're sitting here on middle of day two, and I would say the beginning of day two here has been very strong. Hopefully it ends up that way as well, because we got a lot of good stuff on the menu.
Well, you get to close this out.
Yeah, well, we'll see how that goes. Hopefully.
It'll be incredible.
Yeah, fingers
I'm
crossed.
sure it will be.
But yeah, just a lot of powerful stuff. Really happy that I get to be, in one of the people in the room while we're having this, and yeah, that's just, you can't say enough about it at a high level. Yeah.
You're in a very unique position because this is your first year at both PressConf and, last year was your first time at WordCamp US. You're relatively new to events. You also went to CloudFest this year in Germany. So how does PressConf compare to WordCamp, to CloudFest? Who is this event for?
Yeah, I think that I think it's going to continue to find its thing. So this predecessor was Pressnomics, and now it's back. So if you were affiliated with that, or if you knew about that, then it's a similar vibe. It's like the business people of WordPress. That's how it's continuously been billed. I think a better question now, or like to double down on that question, is who is actually here, so to speak, so we can kind of, and I mean, the interesting thing is, like you said, I've been at a WordCamp, I've been at a CloudFest. I knew people at both of those events, but I almost know everyone here. Like it's the people that are on, it's the business of WordPress, those people, but it's also the people that are on, in some ways, like social media. They're in the WordPress community. They have their finger on the pulse of what's going on. Because they have to for their business, whether it's a product, whether it's an agency, whatever they're doing, or if they're even like a part of a bigger company that's, controlling contributing to WordPress or something like that. And I think that when all those people come together, WordCamps are great, but they're a different vibe. When all those people come together, you have a special mixture of people that understand what everyone else is going through. And because it's an intimate crowd of this year, I feel like 150-ish type people, there is just, you can have conversations in between talks and things. And as you're at the talks, you understand that literally the people next to you hearing this vulnerable thing that's not recorded, it's like, you just know everyone is like very, very similar to you. And then you have the opportunity to connect with them even deeper, whether that's before in the mornings, if you're hiking up a hill like me, hiking up a mountain like me with some friends.
You're wild. That was crazy.
I mean, I honestly, I thought we were just going for a run and up a hill.
Even though run at 7 a.m., that's hardcore.
It was, I don't normally do that, but when in Arizona and you're waking up at 5 a.m. anyway, I figured.
Yeah, why not?
Just do it,
Yeah. I want to pivot a little bit because one of the themes that I heard, probably because I'm biased due to my age, is we need more young people contributing to WordPress, adopting WordPress. You and I feel like, are often the youngest people at these events.
Yeah.
I guess I have two questions for you. One, why WordPress at your age? And two, do you have any thoughts on how we can pull more young people in?
Yeah, great questions. I would say that to answer the first one, I'm 29 now. I think I found WordPress when I was, if I do the quick math, probably around 22-ish, maybe. So again, like similar to the age you're at now. And I know you've been doing it even, probably longer than I have in some cases. But I think why WordPress? For me, very simple. One of my colleagues told me to go check it out, and then I did. I knew about the other ones, but I checked out WordPress, and I just knew that there was so much you could do with it. I can't tell you exactly if there was another indicating factor based on when I got it, like with my age. But I would say to find other people, and this is a hard question that we're not going to be able to answer fully in this interview, but to get other young people to get into WordPress, I think we have to almost reverse engineer, and we have to figure out how are these other places getting younger people? What are they doing? Is it just like as simple as AI, or is it, is it like a flashier UX, UI experience? Is it, do we have to do something like, okay, a lot of young people want to be content creators, so we have to build products, templates, products in WordPress, whatever, like that adhere to that audience. I literally just thought of that right now, and I think that actually might be something we should explore more, because we know that audience a little bit, and everybody wants to be like TikTok famous and everything. So that might be an avenue that we could potentially, kind of dive deeper into. I'm trying to think of creative ways, because genuinely, you get it more than me, but we're seen as the younger people, and we're around people with all this seasoned experience, and they're veterans in the space, but they are older, and we're not seeing this newer generation, I feel like, as much. And I don't know how to fix that entirely. It's something that we really need to think about deeper.
Yeah, one thing I've noticed at other industry events like CloudFest, I saw way more people in their 20s there. Part of me wonders, is it just because it's at a theme park? There's people that are gaming the system per se, free ticket, you get to ride stuff. And I hate that I'm even thinking like that, but I'm like, are there actually young people in other avenues of tech, of the cloud? Like, is this just a WordPress problem, or is this a tech industry problem? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
That's a good point to bring up. I think to touch on the location thing too, that is another big variable that I think, here in Arizona, this event could definitely be built up even more. This is first year. Raquel and the team have done a fantastic job. I think that more of this here in this place, like, this is an inviting place. We're literally on a college campus. There's so much to do. It's beautiful. The weather's amazing, like all of that. So I think that is, it's not a theme park, but it could, it's better than, just some, random, area or something like that you'd have another event in. So I would say that is a huge variable. But, it is difficult to beat a theme park, and, just as by comparison for that. But, how much of it is an industry thing is another good question. We'd have to look at some data, I guess, but like, I don't know. I want to say that software and tech is not hurting, but I also am not I'm not looking for software dev jobs. It's not like that's something that I've been doing. We're around a lot of them, but we don't know the extent of it all. I feel like there's probably another layer of that. I guess to look into this more, we'd have to see what people are going to school for, but also you don't really have to do that anymore. You could I think there's a lot of companies where you could just become self-educated and then get it. So, we'd have to see if it's industry wide, and if it is, that's probably a bigger problem than we can solve. But I do think on the surface it does look like it's more of a siloed problem, a little bit, with almost the image of WordPress and feeling like it's old, in a lot of ways. Just because there's so many other options. I mean, and they're all shinier.
Yeah, one thing that I keep coming back to, there was a talk yesterday with some agency owners, a panel, and Matt asked the question, I'm probably not going to get it exactly right, but it was something along the lines of, hey, it's Raquel.
Hey, Raquel.
Making the vlog
Guest
more
star.
interesting. Yes. Anyway,
doing a fantastic job.
Yes.
Again,
Raquel's wonderful.
They've put in a ton of hard work, and this has been magnificent. So
yes,
hats off. Looking forward to next year already.
Yes, I can't wait to interview Raquel. I don't have a time scheduled, so I gotta get with her. Anyway, Matt asked the question, something along the lines of, if your 20-something-year-old kid came to you and said, hey mom, hey dad, I want to start a WordPress agency, what do you tell them? Are you like, awesome, go for it? Are you like, hey, maybe don't do that? And unanimously the response was essentially, please don't do that. And to me, that's a huge red flag and a problem that WordPress needs to figure out.
Yeah, there's a couple things here. I think Brad Williams, I believe, I think he was a little bit more like, just go for it type thing. I think there was talks and reservations kind of amongst Jake, Kim, and Brad there. But, I feel like I'm definitely somewhere in the middle. I don't think that I'm totally like against and negative towards, hey, don't like start a service. But service is so easy. I've looked into a lot of this recently because, you and I, we talk about product all the time. We talk about product versus service, info products, all these types of things. Services are so easy to get off the ground. Like, I'm overstating it a little bit, but in comparison, like if we want to do an info product, you have to build up a bunch of authority. If you want to do a product, you have to build the thing or like pre-sell the vision or something like that. If you want to sell a service, it's literally, hey, I do X, give me money for it.
Yeah.
I'm making it sound simpler than it is, but logistically, it's literally an exchange rather than, doing a bunch of stuff beforehand, right? It's just like, I have a skill and pay me for it. So I think that starting a service-based business on the whole isn't necessarily something that I would say don't do. And I'm interested to hear those guys up there say that. But I think they also are speaking from experience. They understand that the level in which you have to, like the amount of stuff that you have to go through to build up an agency is vast. The question was also framed in the sense of like your child. So there's a little bit of like empathy, like, oh, I don't want to see my kids potentially go through the same thing. I think that might play into it. I'm speculating a little. But if I was asked that question, I probably wouldn't say straight up no, but I would definitely say, I'd probably say instead of like just making a website, business, I would probably say maybe you could start there a little bit, but you have to realize that you can't stay there. I really do truly believe this, that there are a lot of, kind of opinions or like where we're at right now. There's a lot of people that have been doing the same thing for a very long time and they've been having success, but getting into like WordPress in 2010 is way different than getting into web design in general, even in 2025 here. So I think that definitely all does, that definitely does all weigh into it. And like, if I was, going through that progression myself, I probably wouldn't just be like, I'm just going to build WordPress websites for the rest of my life or anything. You got to be a little more diversified and you got to be focused on getting actual tangible ROI value for your clients, because ultimately at the end of the day, that is what they want. They're another business just like you would be, but they're in a different industry and they want to make money. And we have the skills in order to, drive that. And you have to build those skills up through whatever deliverable, service that you're doing. So, yeah.
Yeah. Ultimately, I think we could go to the bigger debate of, should you start a digital services agency, period, that includes WordPress, but also Webflow and Shopify and all those other players? Or is it specifically a WordPress thing? I think there was also discussion about like maybe you shouldn't start a digital agency, period.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that I agree with that. I mean, this is coming from someone who's not an agency owner, so I really don't have authority to speak on this. But thinking logically, I'm thinking, I don't know that the demand for that stuff is going down anytime soon. There's definitely a COVID boom. I could see that, but I don't know. Like, are websites dead? Maybe with AI.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I think Jake Goldman said something to the effect when he was asked that question. He was like, don't just start like a WordPress agency. Don't hinge your entire business off of one tool. Be more of a digital web agency where you have the flexibility to use whatever. Maybe your WordPress is your main thing, but you could use a Shopify. I think that's a good way to go about it. What I would honestly say too is, start the agency, start some sort of service-based business. If you want to do that, you should start that right away, because you need to understand, this is going to go, I don't want to go super off topic because we're trying to stick to it, but you have so much to learn in business that I'm talking specifically, honestly, to myself here. You have so much to learn in business that being in an agency or some sort of service-based business can teach you before you go anywhere else, product, info, whatever. So I think that there is a really big reason to do that, because then you have a skill that you could leverage for money, but also for those other areas as well. You have to really understand something, and I think service is a really good way to get deep into a community or into that skill set and that type of thing. But what I would honestly say is just do the service, but try to leverage the new tools. If I was starting a website agency right now and I knew like an iota of what I currently do, I would, and I should be doing this more, is like leveraging the AI so I don't have to do as much of the service. Like understand it, leverage it, so I can get to, maybe, step 3 or 4 way faster than I would have, 10 years ago, because we didn't have any of these tools. Even just AI to learn, not even to do this, the service. Like there's so many things that you could do there. And I think that is probably kind of the best blend, at least to start off. I definitely don't think I would say don't do it. It's just, it's a different time now. And unfortunately, it's, everything in retrospect is easy to kind of like understand. But the world has changed heavily. And again, to go back to everything we're talking about here, one of the biggest things of being a part of this community is seeing all the people that have been here for such a long time, and then comparing and contrasting like how I feel and what I'm thinking and what I'm seeing versus what they say. Because I do think there's a thing in the community where everyone's been around for a while, and some of them, like, just naturally you fall into kind of like some level of routine.
Yeah.
And just like, it's like you, for some reason, like the years go by, but you're still kind of like, oh, it started like this. Those are my fond memories, and this is how it is. And I think there's like so many different topics, areas where that is the case, and it just ends up being, you just got to make sure you're continuing to evolve. And I know that we're young now, and maybe we're going to say this, and in 10, 15 years, we'll be doing the same thing. But if there's one thing that I could try to look back, hopefully in 10, 15 years, it's I want to make sure that we're always like being like, okay, what is this? Like, what's the meta right now? What is the next thing we need to explore to stay ahead and try to keep up with, as things change? Because I don't want to get like stuck, so to speak.
Same here. Yeah. In 10 or 15 years, I'll really be past my prime. So
we'll see.
Yeah. Well, Mark, thanks so much for taking the time to chat. Come to PressConf next year, 2026. Going to be rad.
Definitely.
Don't know where it's going to be at. I thought for sure it was going to be in Tempe again, but after last night, I don't know. I don't know. Raquel was surprisingly open-minded about. We gave her some feedback, and she thought that feedback was going to be about the location.
Yeah.
She was ready, dude.
She's like, ready to go anywhere.
Tell me where. Like, as long as it has a good airport.
Yeah.
We'll do it.
I wouldn't be mad about it being here again.
Tempe's nice.
This is beautiful. Like I said, guys, at the top, I can't say anything bad about it. I think there's always room for improvement on things, but very little so far that we've seen. Seriously, I know you're going to have probably FOMOs watching this after.
Yes.
It's over.
That's the goal. I've done my job.
We're gonna resurface this next year, though. So you remember how good this was.
Yeah.
Because we'd love to see you guys here next time if this is something that you think is going to be valuable for your business. So
absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thanks again.
Absolutely.
And
thank you.
I will see you around.
Sweet.